Hey folks, Greggo here, your host of the GrupoAmos on Colombia podcast, the podcast that gives you a 360-degree view of life in Colombia, customs, the people, and its visitors. So today we have Mr. Charles Belk, who is an entertainment marketing veteran and a digital media guru. Charles has been zigzagging around the world, spending a lot of time in Colombia, and we're going to talk to him about what he's doing here and what he does when he's not here, and how he does all of that. So, Charles, welcome to GrupoAmos on Colombia. How are you?
Thank you very much, Greg. I am actually doing really well this morning.
Cool. So nice to have you, Charles. You've been here for a while. Tell me about your visit to Medellin, Colombia.
So I have been here for a while, which is really funny because I was only supposed to be here for 4 months, leaving in September, not coming back, and I did come back for another 4 months. So I say that to say that's just how much my visit to Medellin and Colombia has been.
Cool. Lots of people come here and never leave. So you've been working in entertainment and marketing for a long time. Tell me a little bit about what you do and tell me how you've been able to continue doing it for this extended trip to Colombia and Medellin.
Absolutely. So I have a really interesting, varied background. I actually have a degree in electrical engineering, but then I went away to business school and ended up going to work on Wall Street for a year, and then finally went back into kind of engineering when I went and worked for IBM down in North Carolina. Did a host of engineering-related assignments at IBM over 5 years or 6 years I was there until I left, and then kind of moved into entrepreneurial and then into marketing. I got back out to LA probably 20 or so years later after a host of other jobs in various places. Moved back to LA after going to school out there in undergrad and to run marketing for a company. Once I was back in LA, I ended up in the entertainment industry where I started doing a host of different things out there, whether it was managing talent or serving as a publicist for talent, and then eventually started producing different television spec shows and independent films that involved my clients.
Okay. Now, we're gonna get into some of this. They say that everybody had 15 minutes. Had what I would describe as perhaps more than 15 minutes, but 15 minutes of infamy. You were wrongfully arrested in Los Angeles. Tell me a little bit about that, some of the activities that have grown out of your experience, and dovetail back into some of the different social aspects between the United States and Colombia. But first off, describe what happened, your wrongful arrest. Tell us a little bit about that.
Absolutely, and just to avoid going into too much detail, I will just definitely reference your viewers to Google Charles Belk Beverly Hills, and you will kind of see the whole story out there. But long story short, it was Emmy Awards weekend. And it was a Friday before the Tuesday funeral of Mike Brown in Ferguson. I was out with a friend. We were kind of transitioning before our Emmys Awards pre-party, and I was going to my car to feed the parking meter, which I was then stopped and told to sit on the curb and put my feet out. Within a minute or so, I was kind of placed in that curb and surrounded by 6 or 7 police officers. Within 15 minutes, I was handcuffed and left sitting on the curb of a really busy street. Within an hour, I had been transported to the police station, booked and put in a holding cell and held in a $100,000 bail, all because I was mistakenly identified as the wrong tall, black male that they thought was involved in robbing a bank.
Wow, wow, that happened all really fast. I mean, they didn't even wait to see that they had the right guy. They just arrested you, huh?
They did, and that was the interesting thing about the process, and I think what ensued afterwards, because of that, how quickly all of that took place, because as quickly as they had arrested me, they could have quickly checked the video cameras or tapes and saw that it wasn't me. They didn't do that till the end of the night, 6 or 7 hours later, and then they released me and said that I was not arrested, I was only detained. Unfortunately, a week later, I found out that I actually had an arrest record out on the internet on the LA Sheriff Department site. And that just kind of resulted in a huge social media outpour, which then got a lot of attention. My post on Facebook went viral, and I did a lot of national media as a result of that.
Okay, okay. So, you know, I have commented to folks about how these days, meaning this 21st century, there are rising tensions, social tensions in the United States, and I've commented that in certain regards, I feel safer in Colombia and more comfortable in Colombia than I do in the United States, my native country. Tell me a little bit about how you feel traveling as a black man versus how you feel in the United States.
Well, that's a really good question, man. I've thought about that on several occasions. When I'm in the United States, I don't necessarily fear anything. I feel comfortable where I am. I understand that mistakes will happen. I do understand that there's some kind of natural instilled prejudices that exist in all of us, whether it's in me, whether it's in my mom, whether it's in a law enforcement agency that's not of color. It exists in all of us. And I think that in the US, we have some interesting things going on right now, more so now than even so in the past, because you still have everything from the past and you have a whole different environment and climate now. When I'm down here in Colombia, I will walk around very freely. But now let me put a disclaimer on that. I walk around very freely because one, I don't speak Spanish yet, and two, I don't watch local news. So I am completely naive and oblivious to anything that may be happening in Colombia. I was talking to a friend of mine the other day who speaks Spanish, who watched local news, and she was telling me about all this stuff that I was like, are you kidding me? No way. I never see any of that. I never see any gunshots. I never see blah, blah, blah. You know, I never see any of this. So I don't watch the news. Everything in my world in Medellin is rosy because I walk around fairly freely. I do, though, see, you know, Medellin seem to have this, this policy where they will stop locals and verify their residency, because I think Colombia has a lot of people that cross the border from other countries that are here illegally, believe it or not. And they do a lot of stopping and checking credentials, and I've seen big U-Haul trucks that where the police have hauled away motorcycles from people who I guess were undocumented. So it's really interesting that, you know, while it hasn't happened to me here, and it hadn't happened to me in the US until that very one time it happened, it seemed like Colombia has, in Medellin specifically, has its own set of processes similar to the US that may be a little bit biased to others.
Wow, that's really interesting. You know, I've been in Colombia for 4 years, or going on 4.5 years, and I've been in Medellin for 2.5 years, and that has never happened to me. And I always wonder if it's more of a thing of, you know, we make our own worlds, because I walk around everywhere. I don't know if it's because I'm from the Bronx and I think I'm fearless and I don't think anything can happen to me, but nothing has ever happened to me. But meanwhile, I have been in the United States pulled over basically because I'm black. In Los Angeles a few times. I lived in LA for a while, and I was pulled over a number of times because I was a black man driving in Beverly Hills. And at the time I had hair and I had dreadlocks. And I've also actually been stopped in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, because I was walking. The cop stopped me, I guess pulled me over, right? And asked for my ID and everything. And he's like, and he even commented, he's like, yeah, I guess you can't walk because you walk while you're black. But I feel very safe in Colombia. I've never been even stopped and questioned by police. And it's not that I don't feel safe in the United States, but I will say frankly that I'm much more wary and I'm much more aware. And especially if I see police, I become somewhat edgy. So I don't know. Those are.
Let me ask you this question, Greg. Do you drive here? Do you have a vehicle?
No, I don't drive here. I walk. I take the bus and the train. So I'm not
sure if that has it. The only reason I asked is because I'm not sure if that has anything to do with it. I have noticed that most of the stops of people are of people in a car or on a motorcycle, where they're checking for documents. I have very rarely. I think I might have saw it one time over in Pilado, where I saw local law enforcement talking to a local that was not in a car, but most of the time I see it as a result of folks in cars. So that may have been why we've been spared from that kind of stopping process. But I agree with you. I feel very safe here, if not more or as much as I think I feel safe in the U.S.
Yeah, okay, now that you mentioned those stops, yeah, I see those all the time, and I think they're more document control points. So checkpoints, well, you know, I have a tendency, I have the impression that lots of folks drive, especially operate motorcycles without having all of the necessary papers and registration. So I see a lot of those vehicle checks, and I think they're just document control points.
Yeah.
So, but that's interesting. Yeah, we as pedestrians are spared that. So I want to talk to you, let's get back around to some of the work you do and how you do it, because you've been in Medellin for 4 months. That's either an extended vacation or not a vacation. So are you a digital nomad, and what do you do and how do you do it?
Absolutely. So what started off a year ago as a venture to go away for 2 months and write a book, because part of the story or the end part of the story, and I guess it's still writing itself, that I left out about my wrongful arrest is that I found out that this happens to a lot of folks. A lot of folks get arrested and they never have to go to court. They never are contacted again. So they think that everything is good. But unfortunately, everything is not good, because if you have an arrest record, and it will affect you getting a loan, a job, and a host of other things. And you don't even know this. A lot of folks don't even know that they still have arrest records that exist. And they have to pay up to $5,000 and take up to 6 months of their time to get these records expunged or erased. And a lot of folks don't know that. So what I started 3 years ago, a week or two after my wrongful arrest, is this nationwide effort called #AutoErase, which calls for, if you are wrongfully arrested for mistaken identity or identity theft, then it is up to the local law enforcement agency that arrested you wrongfully to take care of your record automatically without any expense or any time to you, because that didn't exist in any of the 50 states in the U.S. So in 3 years, I've been able to get that bill introduced in 18 states and signed into law actually in 6. And after year 1, almost a year to the date from my wrongful arrest in 2014, the governor of my home state in North Carolina signed the first bill into law. And so the book that I went off to write in last November was that chronologized that first year from being handcuffed on the curb to being mad, making a difference, and getting this bill signed into law. Interesting enough, those 2 months, that was done up in the mountains in the jungle in Costa Rica. Those 2 months living around expats, understanding folks from different parts of the world that had traveled a lot, made me then want to travel a little bit more. So I kept on. I still had some money saved up, and I kept under the auspices that I was gonna go off and write another book. And I went to Panama City, but I was only there for a month and a half. Didn't get much book writing done. And when I went back to the United States in May or in April, I said, hey, I think I want to travel a little bit more. I think I want to learn Spanish, and I think I want to still feel like I want to write some more books. But at this point, I now need to figure out how I'm going to finance this. So I reverted back to my technical training and skill set, because I used to code. I've done a lot of project managing of technical projects throughout my career in various phases. So I had an old client that needed some work done. I took on that work, and I could pretty much do that anywhere. So my client is in LA, my developers are in India, and I can kind of project manage that from anywhere in the world that has internet. And I chose Colombia, one, because it's so affordable here, two, because the weather is beautiful here, and three, because I just simply enjoy being in the city.
You were cracking me up when you're talking about your writing a book. Medellin is not the city I would choose to be in if I were writing a book.
Why is that?
There are too many distractions.
There are, but you know what's amazing is that, and it's so funny that you should mention that, because I was actually just thinking about that this morning, is that if I was in LA, and I was, because I had project managed from home in LA before, and I'm a workaholic. I will literally wake up and get in front of my computer with the plan of sitting there for an hour and look up, and it's 6 p.m. and I still have more work to do. And in LA, I will find myself, I used to go out to events a lot, so it was easy to become a little bit more distracted, whereas here, I'm paying a third to a fourth of the rent that I would be paying there. I'm paying a third to the fourth that I would be paying on food and other living expenses. I have a great setup that I can work from, and I have a association base down here that I can go out with. For example, I've been working this morning since about 6:30 a.m. However, at 2, I'm meeting a group of folks, and we're going to explore one of the communities here and see the graffiti tour. So it's easy to, because I know I have a defined block of time that I want to go out and play, if you will, then it makes me focus on those other parts of my day to make sure I get work done.
Okay. That you touched on something very interesting, which is discipline. I think that's actually very critical, especially for digital nomads. I mean, discipline is important for everybody, but I would say especially for digital nomads who live in different places multiple times, or different places throughout the year, that the discipline of blocking out time and focusing on your work and then going out to play.
It's what's also interesting that I can do that with this project that I'm working on, because one, in order to get paid, I have a set of deliverables and timelines that I have to meet. Now, once this project is over, it will be interesting to see how well I'm able to adapt that. And I go back to writing, how well I am able to adapt that to writing and then playing. Because, writing is that thing that you can be like, oh, I'll do it in the morning, or I'll start this evening. Or, so you'll keep putting it off and putting it off and putting it off.
Yeah. I'm a perennial procrastinator. That's was one of my weaknesses and one of my downsides. I would say one of the upsides to that is that I frequently write in cafes. So I find a cafe to hang out at, and I get a lot of writing done out in public. So anyway. But
I also must think, I know I have anyway, because I will go to a cafe every now and then, but you meet folks, and it's so cool. It has been one of the great things. Apparently, Medellin is one of the has the largest population of digital nomads than just about any other place around the world, from what I understand. And You can go to any cafe, whether it's in El Poblado, you know, which is kind of the upscale region of this place, which I'm sure you've covered on your podcast, or Laurellis, and sit at any one of those kind of coffee shops, whether it is a nice modern one or older one, and you will find someone working, and you start talking with them, and you find out that you're doing the exact same kind of work. And I have picked up on so many resources from being down here. At the event that I actually met you at, I met another digital nomad, and he's actually a coder. Him and I had dinner the other evening because he's a mobile applications coder, and I have a mobile app that I need to develop. So it is just so interesting, the people that you meet down here and the resources that you develop.
Sure. The more we travel, the smaller the world gets.
Yes, it is. And I'm glad you mentioned that, because now it's probably a good time for me to plug my blog, which is Black Man and Abroad. And that came out of me traveling and meeting folks, but not seeing too many other Black American males. You will see a lot of females and males from America traveling. You'll see, you know, more noticeable Black females from America traveling, but you don't see that many Black males unless they are coming somewhere in a group for a week. You don't see them kind of relocating to Medellin. You don't see them traveling through South America or traveling, you know. Don't get me wrong, there are a lot that do it. I mean, there are some that do it. It's just you notice it, like I noticed you at that meeting of, there was probably 30, 40 people there, because there was a lot of people at that event, and you and I were the only two Black males there. But there were 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe 5 Black females. And so I think that, you know, those are fairly representative statistics, and the purpose of my blog is to highlight my experiences and highlight the experiences of other Black American males that travel, to try to get more interested and intrigued to want to travel outside of the country.
Wow, that's fantastic. That's fantastic. Yeah, you know, in the 2.5 years I've lived in Medellin, Charles, I think you are the first Black American I've met. And I met one other guy in Manizales when I lived in Manizales. So yeah, it's very interesting. I think there's a good market for your blog, Black Man and Abroad. I will put up links to both your blog and your nonprofit organizations on my website.
Awesome, thank you.
Of course. So just in wrapping up, why don't you tell us a little bit about the near future for you? Where are you going to be? How long are you going to be in Medellin? Where are you going next? And what are you going to be doing?
All right, so some of those questions I can answer because they're defined, and then some of them are still up in the air, which is really the bane of my existence right now. One, I am here until January the 10th, when I leave and I go back to the States for a month. That's been my kind of mode of operation, is that I will travel, go back to the States for a month, and then travel again. It kind of gives me the best of both worlds, where when I'm in a foreign country and I start missing things like good pizza, or, you know, something I just can't get here. The other day I had a craving for IHOP pancakes. And even though I can get pancakes here, they got this little American place around the corner that sells pancakes. They're fairly decent. I just love IHOP pancakes. Or like a Caesar salad from Outback. I love Outback Caesar salads. And so my thing is that I'll get to go back to the States, get those little fixings done, and then realize that, man, this place is expensive, and man, this place is cold, and man, this, you know, I'll get to go through all of that, and it'll be just time for me to leave again. And so I will always do a month. So I leave on January 10th, go back to the States, and I know that I'm going away automatically again at the end of February, beginning of March. I know that. What I don't know is where I am going. I know where I'm not going. I know that I'm not coming back to Medellin, and that was a very hard decision for me to make. I literally, when I came at this time, had to tell myself, I had to look in the mirror and say, listen, there are 192 countries apparently. You've only hit 27 or so. And you can't go and hang out for the rest of your life in Medellin right now. There's too much of the world to see. So I had to, and this is I've lived in a lot of places, and this is the first time I've ever had to say that about a city or a place. So I had to constantly tell myself I wasn't coming back here. So I know I'm not coming to Medellin, but I don't know where I'm going. I'm looking at, my original plan was to do more of South America, but because my Spanish is not where I had intended it to be a year ago, I'm gonna probably not go too much further south right now. I am, however, looking at possibly India, possibly because I want to travel around Asia some, so I'm looking for a place that's inexpensive that I can use as a point of going off. One of the reasons why I'm thinking about India is because I'm thinking about potentially expanding my kind of digital marketing and project management business into more of a concerted effort and meeting with a lot of the freelance programmers that I've been using to date over in India, and maybe kind of consolidating that effort under one roof.
Okay. Well, very interesting. Very interesting. Lots of exciting ventures for you in the near future. Well, Charles, thank you so much for being with us today. We're gonna wrap things up. Again, I will to all your activities on the blog, and we wish you the best of luck, safe travels wherever you go, and fun. Have fun.
Great. Thank you so much, Greg, and thank you for having me on your show today.
My pleasure. My pleasure. Okay, folks, that has been the latest installment of the GrupoAmos on Colombia podcast and videocast. Once again, I'm Greggo, and I'm looking for my hat so I can sign off, because I like to always begin and end with my signature hat. So we will be in touch, folks. Take care. Be safe. Ciao.